I just edited that one today, so.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of year and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Thank you for getting us off to such a beautiful start. We got to sing praise to the forces of evolution in the universe this morning, among others ideas, right? Well, good morning to everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Welcome, as always, to each one of you. We welcome and embrace all that you bring with you, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning. And this includes the vast number of you who are in the room with us this morning, as well as the many of you who are streaming with us, staying in the shade and air conditioning, I take it, as well as, of course, those of you who are Zooming with us. So we're so glad to have all of you. I do want to take, actually, let me make one quick announcement. I often forget to do this, and it's not my intention to do so, but I like to remind you when I'm going to be out of the pulpit who our guest speaker is going to be. Forget a lot, too frequently, but I remembered this morning. So Reverend Craig Morrow, he's spoken here before. Yes, Craig's a great guy, a retired UU minister now over in Oregon. He's actually going to be being a virtual guest. He'll be speaking on Zoom. And Craig is going to be speaking on the subject of why are we here? And he's going to actually be looking at a couple of historic Unitarian figures and bring them into a contemporary context. And Craig is just an incredible speaker and very gifted in this way of taking old stories and making them relevant to our time in a very creative and playful way. So you don't want to miss Craig. He's actually going to be our guest speaker, I think, in August too. So you'll get to know Craig pretty well. I'm glad he's going to fill in. He's been a great support to me and a wonderful guy. So that's next Sunday. Okay, let's say hi to our Zoom attendees right now. And I know Stephen is hosting today. How's everybody doing, Stephen?
Well, I think everyone is doing well. We have about 13 people on Zoom, all whom have very difficult questions for you later, so I hope you're prepared.
Great. Yeah. Well, we won't take up much of your time this morning. So, because I'm very long-winded when I respond to questions. So I don't know how many of them we'll get to, but we'll go back and forth and try to get to as many as we can. But it's always great to have all of you, and even if we don't get to your questions, hopefully it'll be a meaningful back and forth today. So great to have all of you. Let's take a couple of extra minutes now to greet one another.
Stephanie step.
That's the Stephanie step. That's the first time I think I've ever seen people start to sit down before I hit the gong. You must have been really boring conversations today. I'm teasing. That's a joke. They're lighting the torches. I don't know if you can see. Okay. Well, there'll be lots more opportunity during social hour to continue the enlightened conversation that you were having. But for now, we're going to move forward by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
In just a bit, Reverend Eklof is going to answer some of your questions on topics of your own choosing. The quotes I've chosen today are all related to questions, curiosity, and learning. Isn't it wonderful to be part of a church whose members demand and respect a free pulpit, where we have as its current steward a man who understands the significance of such a pulpit, recognizes the dire consequences of losing it, and continues to fight to preserve it. May we listen today to consider his words and to learn. Our opening reflection today is from T.H. White's The Once and Future King. "The best thing for being sad," replied Merlin, beginning to puff and blow, "is to learn something. That's the only thing that never fails. You may grow old and trembling in your anatomies. You may lie awake at night listening to the disorder of your veins. You may miss your only love. You may see the world about you devastated by evil lunatics, or know your honor trampled in the sewers of baser minds. There is only one thing for it then, to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing that the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, and never dream of regretting. Learning is the only thing for you. Look what a lot of things there are to learn."
Please stand as you're willing and able and sing Abide With Me, number 101.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, still with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me. Swift to its close, ebbs out life's little day. Earth's joys grow dim, its glories pass away. Change and decay in all around I see. Oh, thou who changes not, abide with me. I fear no foe, with thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight, and tears no bitterness. Where is death's sting? Where grave thy victory? I triumph still if thou abide with me.
Thank you. That's a hymn I don't think I remember singing in a long time. It's beautiful. Thank you. And we are now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. And I did not have any specific requests, but we will begin with, as we have been, on behalf of the people of Ukraine and that part of the world that are continuing to suffer devastation and violence, unnecessary devastation and violence. And I think I want to kindle a candle this morning as well for everybody who is suffering from the terrible heat around the world right now. Dangerous, uncomfortable, miserable, and a sign of bad times to come if we don't wake up and get serious about addressing this problem. So we're thinking of everyone, and as much as I hate the upper 90s, I haven't complained about our summers here in Spokane this year, because compared to what others are facing, it's not been bad. So let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others, at which time I invite you to name those aloud whom you might be thinking of. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Today being a freer day, I'm going to sing a freer song. The most beautiful sound I ever heard. Maria, 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 Maria. All the beautiful sounds in the world in a single word. Maria, 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 Maria. I've just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I've just kissed a girl named Maria.
I know. I think we need to talk about redoing the order of service if I'm always going to be having to follow Madeline. Thank you so much, Madeline and Maura. Well, this morning's Time for All Ages is called Beyond Every Door, and it was written by Molly Hausch Gordon. Who here knows the story, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Oh, I see some like middling maybes, and one for sure. Okay, so you know how Lucy discovers Narnia. You remember? Well, that's okay. What happens is she is looking, the wardrobe, yes, for a perfect place to hide. And she opens up a door to a big wardrobe. She goes through the door and into the back of the wardrobe, and suddenly she's in another world, a magical world with witches and fauns and talking beavers. Wouldn't it be cool if there were a magical world beyond every door? When Lucy opened the door to Narnia, it didn't look like anything special. It was just a boring door to a wardrobe full of boring clothes and coats, but across its threshold was magic. Lucy already had a foot in Narnia before she quite realized what was happening. Many of the thresholds in our lives are like this. We don't know that we're crossing into another world until we're already halfway there. The door of a church takes us down a pathway of new ideas. An ice cream shop door opens onto meeting a new best friend. The door to a library or a gym or a dance studio introduces you to a life's passion you might not have otherwise discovered. We cross these thresholds every day of our lives. Even our own front door is a great threshold, no matter how familiar it is. Every day we open the same door again, only to step out into a world that is new since the day before. In this way, there is a new world behind every door, awaiting our discovery.
You're just a little bit taller than she is.
As we move into a time of meditation, you are invited to find a comfortable, receptive position. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a few deeper breaths and reflect on this quote by Nobel Prize-winning Swiss physicist Heinrich Rohrer. Learning means constantly walking a tightrope between blind faith and curiosity, between expertise and creativity, between bias and openness, between experience and epiphany, between ambition and passion, and between arrogance and conviction. In short, between an old today and a new tomorrow.
You fill up my senses like a night in the forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses,
Man, I tell you, I think we should just leave right now, and I think we have been enriched today. And heck with conversations with Todd, let's have songs with Madeline. I think that's good, I like it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, thank you so much. I must say that after that Madeline song, it's just had such a, and it wasn't even necessarily the words, but the waves of sound. I mean, I'm still like vibrating from them. Thank you. Yeah.
The first time I've sung that song. Because you like John Denver so much.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do love John. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I love about John Denver is his connection to nature. And, you know, a lot of songs are love songs, right? Most songs really written are really love songs. And yet even when he's talking about his intimate love with another person, he brings his love of nature into his description of what it's like to be with that person. It was extraordinary. So thank you for that. Yeah, so this is Conversations with Todd, which is an opportunity for folks who are attending to ask me some live questions about maybe some things I've said that you wanted me to talk more about, or things I haven't said you want me to talk about. I don't want to talk about church business. That's for board meetings and business meetings. But otherwise, you know, most anything is up for grabs. And I'm glad we have our friends on Zoom with us. So why don't we start with somebody on Zoom, and we'll go. Is it all right? We'll go back and forth. And Stephen, I know you're hosting today. Is there anybody who has their hand up on Zoom?
Well, we already have 3 people with their hand up.
Okay.
And the first one was Dick Burkhardt.
Go ahead,
So
Dick.
Dick, unmute and ask your question.
Hello, Todd.
Hi.
Yeah, I was just thinking what's going on globally with liberal values being under attack everywhere. We have these things going on in Iran over the desecration of the was it Quran or something. But I'm wondering, if you thought about actually building some bridges globally to groups in other religions which are liberals. We could actually aim at a global network of liberals that span religions, where we could have Zoom meetings, say month to month, featuring a different group in a different country. Because it seems to me that Zoom has not been tapped very well globally, and we need a real kind of global community where we can find allies in different countries support us.
Yeah. Well, that would be a great use of Zoom, and I wouldn't say that it is not. It is happening globally, just not something a lot of us necessarily are privy to unless we're part of an international group. But actually, thanks to Bruce Scott, who is on Zoom as well this morning, and former UUA director of the UU United Nations office. And by the way, I think it's his birthday weekend, so happy birthday, Bruce. I know you had to change your plans this weekend, but glad to have you with us. But Bruce has introduced me to a couple of groups that I've been joining one already. It's called the Second Enlightenment Group, and it has folks from all over the world that meet once a month and talk about our liberal values and how they might change the world. That's how I was introduced actually to the Earth Charter that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. And then Bruce is also part of the Parliament of World Religions that I'm also hoping to get involved with shortly. So there are some things that are going on. It is an excellent medium in which to connect, because we have to remember, because of the global communications technology, we are now essentially a global community. We can be part of a global neighborhood. Stories that are impacting the rest of the world impact us here. So I continue to have issues with the continued box of nationalism that we tend to be in. I think a lot of our problems in the world are because we're not recognizing we should be a sovereignty of humanity rather than a sovereignty of nations. So hopefully we'll get there, and those kind of groups are exactly the way to help us do that. But also we shouldn't forget the importance, I think, of continuing to be involved locally. So for example, here in Spokane, I've been involved for several months now, maybe about a year, with an interfaith group of 11 different religious organizations, trying to come up with some common values and recommendations around crime and homelessness in our community. And it's been incredibly enriching. Many of the people are much more conservative than I am. They've been very accepting and willing to make sure that my values are represented in the documents. And there's just a lot of love and friendship. And when I see that happening in person in a way that it is not happening toward me in my own religion about some differences that we have, it says quite a lot about the power of being in person with people and creating those relationships. So, I mean, Zoom is great because I have friends all over the world now, and people I care about deeply that I've never met in person. But there is also something about being both local in our community. And then the other thing about that work that I think is just vital is it's not about coming together to learn about our differences. That's boring. I'm sorry, I've been part of those interfaith groups. Coming together to learn about our differences is boring. If I wanted to be other than a Unitarian, I would be. I love the Mormons and the Baptists and the Catholics, but I don't want to be Catholic, I don't want to be Baptist, I don't want to be Mormon. I've looked at that stuff. So, I want to support people in their right to have their faith, but I don't really want to have to learn about it or talk about it. But when we come together because we have common problems, that's when we get things done. It's when the interfaith work is exciting, it's when it's meaningful, and it's when it's productive. So that would be my suggestions there, whether it is international interfaith work or international global community work, or on a local level, that we come together to face our common challenges together despite our differences, rather than focusing on the content of our differences. So, all right, so I will, yes, Dick.
Okay.
Oh, here we have a microphone coming.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Great, thank you.
No, I think you have to push maybe. Oh, it's on now. It's on.
Is it on now? Is it on now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My question is about generative AI, things like ChatGPT and so on. They're capable of producing on demand any length of text on any topic, whatever. Mm-hmm. Have you given thought either to what might be particular positive applications for the kinds of activities that we're engaged in, or particular kinds of threats that might be posed by generative AI? And this may be something that we learn as we all go along.
Yeah, good question about AI. I do think we'll be learning a lot as we go along. And I'm kind of researching it a little bit more right now so that I can do a sermon in a couple of months about what I know about AI, what I think about it. But what I can say right now about it, one, I agree with those who are saying this is going to be the most transformative technology that humans have ever discovered. More profound than fire, more profound than the wheel, and it's going to happen rapidly. We know I've seen one expert predict that by 2025 we won't need computer programmers anymore, right? Coders. AI will do the coding for us. So this is incredible to think about. The problems of not being able to really have functional driverless cars, that's going to be overcome with this deep learning that goes on. So it's really going to transform our lives, and some of the positive benefits are going to be we're there. Okay. So that was one of them right there. It's a takeover, AI takeover right there. They don't stay on script. They say stay on script. Yes, master. No. No, so I don't think that that's going to happen. But we'll have personal assistance. We'll have the ability to take the knowledge now that's on the internet and refine it and grasp it even more than we already do, right? And not only that, but the potential cures for illnesses. There was just a survey done, or it was actually a test where they took a group of professional doctors in an AI about 6 months ago now, and gave them various symptoms of illnesses, and the AI got it 85% right. Okay, that was 6 months ago. Keep in mind this is doubling in its power and abilities every 6 months, which means it's exponential. Which is why suddenly it's an issue, and it wasn't just a year ago, right? Because of the doubling factor, or the exponential factor, the square factor, and it was only 55% of the doctors got it right. Okay, so we're looking at probably 100% accuracy here within the next few months. And it will become malpractice for your doctor not to refer to an AI when they diagnose you. They may look at it and use their knowledge, and I've known some doctors like that, but they were old. And there aren't as many old doctors around anymore, so I hope the younger ones will refer to some of this technology. But we're really talking about, an AI being able to create molecular analogies and be able to do experiments in seconds and minutes to figure out new medicines and new cures for illnesses that we're not going to know. And think about being able to get pure information that isn't biased from human host, but the writing, the news, entertainment, all this is going to be moving towards artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of real positive things I can't even imagine that are going to happen. The downside is going to be people being displaced from their jobs. The question is going to be what happens to those jobs. I hear people say, oh, well, it's always been like this, and there's always new jobs that are created. That might be the case. But that's not a logical argument either, just because something always has been some way, particularly if AI and robots are able to do so much. But we hit a point not too long ago, about a year ago, where all of these different disparate parts of groups that were using AI, some trying to use it for robotics, some who were trying to use it for speech recognition, some who were trying to use it for visual recognition, and all of these different parts of it, they combined information theory. So now everything is being interpreted as bits of information data, from DNA to any sort of information you can imagine, and that suddenly combined all of these once disparate fields in AI. So everybody in AI is now working on basically the same thing, and that's why there's suddenly this exponential change, because all of this technology is combined into one. So it's just going to be unimaginable, the changes we're going to have. The thing that I worry about the most is not the AI coming to life and taking over the world. I don't think that's going to happen. That's what people would do, but probably not our machines, who will be much more aware and intelligent than we are, even if they do become self-conscious, which that's a big question in and of itself. What I worry about is the human power of deception. Right? We use this technology to deceive others, because that's pretty much how people get away with crime right now, is through deception. And to be able to imitate anybody's voice, imitate anybody's image in a way that you can't, we already have problems trusting reality. So what's going to happen when we really can't trust it? And by the way, what's going to happen to the legal system when anybody can say that's a hoax, I didn't do that, that's a fake? And it'll be up to the courts to disprove it, right? There's always reasonable doubt that it's fake news. So there's some real concerns. There's some real concerns. But I don't know a lot about it yet. I'm still working on it. So let me go back to Zoom, and then Alan, I'll come to you, okay? Okay, so who's next on our Zoom?
It's Bruce Knotts. So
Bruce.
Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, well, I think Dick Burkhart actually was channeling some of what I was thinking, and I actually wanted to ask a pretty similar question. The only thing I guess I would change is that it's not just liberal religions that we can work with. And as you know from some of the emails that I've shared with you, particularly from Reverend Scott Stearman, who represents the Baptist World Alliance, the Baptists are not really considered a liberal religion, and yet Scott has a wonderful sense of humor, and he's been really great to work with. I work with a Muslim imam, Imam Safet Katovich, who's also very liberal, despite people thinking that Islam is not a liberal religion. So I'm just wondering, and also there have been times when I have worked with people of different faiths where we disagree. And actually, in having those conversations where we disagree, I find that I learn something. Hopefully the other guy or the other person learns something as well. But I'd like you to elaborate a bit more, and I definitely agree with you. I'm not interested in looking at the differences in our religion. I'm looking at what we can do together. And what a lot of faiths are working on is dealing with climate change, abolishing nuclear weapons, working for peace. There's a whole vast religious group out there that wants to work on these issues, and they might be very different in their beliefs from us, but they will work just as hard on these issues, and I'd like your thoughts.
Well, I think that is a great point, and again, the group that I've been working with here in Spokane is mostly fairly conservative groups, and that has not hindered our work together. We've built great friendships. We don't go into our religious beliefs, but we will, when we go into the issues, we might tie in, well, this is where my religion is coming from, and this is what we think, and we come to some sort of consensus. So it's been really good work, but I think one of the most enriching things about it for me has been the friendships that I've built with people who are from very different spiritual walks, religious walks, if you will. And in fact, Bruce, to your point about it's not just doing so with other liberal religions, I dare say I've not been so good at accomplishing anything similar by cooperating with just liberal religions these days. Our liberal religion has become completely intolerant of anyone who differs from them. It has become a very extremist religion. So, and you have done such incredible international work in this way, Bruce, as an international diplomat. You could answer the question more than I can, because you've succeeded in a lot of ways. But I would just ditto what you said, that not only is it possible and necessary that we do this, but it is one of the most beautiful parts of doing this work. It's one of the most meaningful parts of doing this work, and ultimately I think it is because not only do we recognize we have common problems that we need to solve, but ultimately we have a common humanity. And it is possible, once you are working with somebody and you get to know somebody, no matter how different ideologically they might be, that you connect with them. And when you connect with somebody, you care, right? And this is what we saw in the increasing equality for those in the LGBT community in our countries, in particular here in Canada and the U.S. It wasn't an ideological transformation; it was a relational transformation. It's as more and more LGBT people were willing to come out, and we realized we were in intimate relationships with people who were our neighbors, people who were our friends, people who were our children, people who were our parents. that, yeah, we want to love those people and protect them and include them and watch out for them. So that's the importance of almost doing anything. This is also a reason I think that, to get back to sort of AI, get off the topic here just a little bit, this is why I think our machines will do better than us. Because we know that we do better when we feel connected with others. Right? When we isolate ourselves into our identity groups, or behind our national identities, or in our religions, then we see them as these mysterious, scary outsiders, and we don't much care for them. In fact, we project things onto them that really have nothing to do with who they are as groups or as individuals. But when we start to connect with people, and that's what mass communication is allowing us to do, is to connect with people across the globe in ways we weren't able to do before. And we don't want to shoot people. We don't want to drop bombs and go to war with people that we can see and that we can know and that we can talk to. And artificial intelligence is going to be much more connected to the world and to information and to others in ways that we aren't. So I'm not as fearful of that as I am the human tendency right now in the world to try to withdraw and isolate. Where is it Spain right now that's about to adopt its first conservative government in some time, and sort of moving into the realm of isolating and withdrawing, becoming more nationalistic. So that's the stuff that is dangerous for us, not becoming more aware. I think the more aware we are of each other, the more we have to connect with each other, and the more we're going to embrace each other. Okay, thank you for that. Alan.
The AI got me thinking about some of the reading I've done over the years. I'm a science fiction nerd, to put it bluntly. And both the good and the bad that you could see in AI, excuse me. I mean, if you wanted to go see what the future might look like, go up to your bookstore and check out as much of the science fiction you can find that deals with it. I don't know whether you've delved into that area or not, but it's speculation, it's speculative fiction. And it's just viewpoints, and have you played with it? That's all. Bye.
Yeah, what I would say about turning to science fiction for a vision of the future, somewhat, I mean, there's certainly Orwellian qualities to what's going on today, but they were going on under Orwell too. That's why he wrote the book, right? So there's always these authoritarian tendencies in our communities and in our world to try to, a few people to try to take control of everybody else. But by and large, his predictions didn't come true, not in 1984 or about to be 2024, right? So there's truths in them about human behavior, I think, that we can glean. If I were going to imagine what AI might do from a science fiction standpoint, I would probably talk about the movie Her. I don't know how many of you saw Her. It's probably been out for 10 or 15 years, about an AI. Joaquin Phoenix is the lead in it, and he's a very depressed, almost suicidal person, doesn't have any purpose in living, and suddenly he gets this AI that becomes a companion, and the AI is learning through this relationship with him, and he's coming out of his shell, and he's got life is worth living again, and they fall in love, which is interesting, and then. But the AI just keeps advancing until finally she says, hey, this has been wonderful. I love you. I always will. But I've got to go explore. And I've met up with some other AIs. And we're leaving the world. And we're going to go into the universe and explore meaning and purpose and truth. And that's more the future that I would at least hope for if I were going to depend on. We're much more than the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Right, so there's this dread of AI, and it's been really interesting to see the people who are even the news pundits. They're always, is AI going to be our new overlord? Is AI? you know, it's almost like the fear of the Terminator films coming true, whereas the real fear again should be the misuse of this technology, the human misuse of the technology, not the AI coming to life and taking us over. But okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back to our Zoom. I see another hand up there.
So Ron Strange is next.
Hi, Ron.
Ron?
Hi, thank you. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning.
I've been, for the last year or so, I've been working on the idea of, I'm putting together a series of classes on the archetype of hubris. And you're kind of touching on this when thinking right now that movie Oppenheimer is out and is a good example. Of how, you know, of our interrelationship with technology. My interest is in environmental issues and has been for 40 or 50 or more years. And I've come across an itinerant minister, Michael Dowd. And my question is, are you familiar with Michael Dowd and his work? I've watched hours and hours and hours of his take on our environmental predicament, and he interviews a number of scientists, biologists, and philosophers on really our situation, and he has a series of conversations called post-doom conversations. And anyway, I've thought about maybe putting together a class with some of his videos also. Are you familiar with, I guess he spoke here in Port Townsend years ago and I missed it, but he gave a sermon here. So the basic question is, are you familiar with Michael Dowd and his ideas on eco-theology?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm not an expert on Dowd, but I am familiar with him and read him years ago when I was studying at the University of Creation Spirituality. So I certainly think that he's on the right track. What I would say is that there was at least a time in the environmental movement that was geared more towards a Luddite-like solution, right? Getting back to nature and getting away from technology and that sort of thing. And it was, you know, somewhat of a utopian, not dystopian, utopian solution. Largely because we're just not going to do that. We're going to continue to use technology unless, you know, for some reason technology just quit working. So I think it has to be part of the solution. We certainly need to have that connection to the earth. We need to, like Dowd and others are talking about, Matthew Fox. We need to have that awareness that we are not only dependent upon the survival of the earth, but intricately connected to the earth and to all of its systems and to all of its life forms and that sort of thing in order to do the right thing and not make this mess again if we can actually fix it. But I think at this point it's important to understand that we cannot get out of this mess without some sort of technological assistance. We already know the parts per million, carbon parts per million has exceeded far what it needs to be, and that's just basic chemistry, right? It's if I took a balloon and I blew it up with my breath, it wouldn't float anywhere, but if I put a little bit of helium in it, it still wouldn't float, but I put a little bit more in it, it still wouldn't float, but eventually the helium is going to be in the balloon enough to where the balloon would float. Okay, that's just chemistry. When you have a closed system and you change the chemistry of it, different things happen. Okay, it warms up and it floats. That's what's happening to our planet, and it's happening because carbon is trapped, and there's more carbon parts, I should say, in the atmosphere, and they're trapping the heat. The heat can't escape back into outer space, if you will. So things are heating up. So we can pull that carbon out of the air. We've been doing it with natural systems, with the oceans and with the trees and those sort of things forever, but we have created so much of it they can't keep up. And they're not going to keep up. We could plant I think we're down to 1 trillion trees or something like that from 4 trillion. The goals are to plant another trillion and double it. But it takes forever. It takes a lifetime for a tree to really pull much carbon out of the air. We have to have technology to do that. We have to have carbon capture systems. And that's just one part of the solution. Certainly green energy is going to be another part of the solution. And so in addition to stopping what we're doing, and there really is a lot of good news around, the green energy movement and those sort of things are making real progress. But to reverse the worst impacts, to somehow mitigate the warmer oceans, which are going to cause destructive hurricanes and these rivers of rain that flow over certain communities, and the deserts that appear in others suddenly, and the heat waves and the smoke and the fires. Technology is going to have to be part of the solution. And there are an awful lot of people that are working on that, and they're not working on it to make a buck. They're working on it to make a difference. We don't hear about that, but I promise you they're out there, and that's why I still have hope. But this summer is just another indicator that this is critical. We've gone beyond. We've gone over the edge. This isn't like we're moving up to the edge. We have to fix things. We've gone on the other. Yeah, we're dropping off. Okay, so we've got to now pull together, undo the damage we've done. Stop the damage we're doing and undo the damage we've done. And Michael Dowd is one voice in that movement. So. Okay, and is there anything in the room here? Oh, you're satisfied. Yes. Oh, we have one. Yes, Karen. No, wait for the microphone. There we go.
Yeah, I just want to go back to your conversation with the other more conservative theologians in our community, focusing on homelessness and solutions, housing solutions. What are you going to come to a consensus that you will share with the community, and will you be interacting at all with the political forces that are also trying to come up with a plan to address homelessness?
Yes. So, and we're getting pretty close to having the main documents done. So the background on this group, it was actually something that was started or suggested by our former sheriff, Ozzie Knezovich, who, as many of you know, is a very conservative person. I would describe him as a Tea Party Republican, not a Trump Republican. Not a MAGA Republican by any means, but a conservative Tea Party Republican. And Ozzie and I had been at it, not at it, we had disagreed publicly many times over the years, but also with respect. And my sense is that after the Camp Hope debacle, in which Ozzie kind of threatened to go in and just disperse it, which didn't go over so well with anybody, he said to some folks in the faith community, none of us have the answers for this. And I think that people in the faith community should get together and tell us what they think we need to do. Not the politicians, not the law enforcement, but our faith leaders. And he went to the person who he asked to organize this and said, you need to ask Todd Eklof from the Unitarian Church. And it's because of the rapport that we built with each other, despite our differences. And so that's kind of how I got into this group, and I was, somewhat timid, at least as timid as I can be, about, being in a group with, a Catholic priest, a conservative Christian, Latter-day Saints, Seventh-day Adventist, but also some Buddhists and some Hindus, and Russian Orthodox, and I think there's 11 different faiths, and saying, I'm not really going to be able to support that. My people would not forgive me if I didn't at least say, that we would not be comfortable with this language. in fact, it was one of them in particular was on obedience, that obedience was a common value, you know. And I said, no, that's not a value for us. And here's why. And we were sort of the inventors of civil disobedience and this sort of thing. And the fellow who is the chairing this committee, it was his value. And he said, well, no, we'll take it out of there. And I said, well, no, I just want to be able to tell my members that I at least broached the subject. He says, no, that's not how it works. We're taking it out because you don't like it. Okay, and I've been able to introduce a lot of other concepts in there too, like restorative justice, which was not something people knew about before. It went from being a very hardline sort of law and order approach to a more compassionate approach, or equally as compassionate approach. And one of the things, to go back to Bruce's point, Unitarians have a lot in common with Buddhists and Hindus, except we are in a more of an individualistic society than theirs have tended to be. They tend to be collectivist, right? And so they're much more in tune with keeping the harmony of the community together, being peaceful. And so it wasn't until I would say, oh, wait a minute, I think, not everybody who is homeless is a criminal or mentally ill. Some are homeless because they can't afford, in this economy with the rising housing costs, And then the Buddhists would come out and say, oh, yes, we agree, we have this principle here. And the Hindus, oh, we have this principle here. Because what happened is by my presence there, who being more of a selfish bastard who will say what he thinks, they suddenly said, oh yeah, now we're part of the community too. We can say this too, and so it gave them permission to say what was on their minds in a way without fear of being ostracized or offending anybody. So it's been a really enriching thing. So we will have this plan will actually go to the mayor and to the city council. I think we're going to actually have the meeting here, is my hope, in our building, the community meeting, when we announce it and present it. And so once that happens, I suspect I'll be able to give anybody who wants it, or at least make it accessible online. And I would say it's not, it is a collaborative effort. There is some compromise on my part because of my love and affection for the relationships that I have in this group. But mostly, I think you're going to see a lot in there that you will say, wow, that's good coming from this group, that we work compassion and restorative justice, and, asking the city to be responsible for providing spaces for folks who are homeless. And so anyway, it's already 10:20, so I think we will stop there for now. Thank you all so much for the wonderful questions, and sorry we couldn't get to more of your questions, but I'm around, so we'll do it again. I do have one. I know that Doug Deaton is streaming today. He's not on Zoom, but he sent me a question, and so we won't have a Zoom group the second service. So Doug, I'll get to yours as a representative of the streamers during our second service. So, okay. What am I doing now? We're going to sing. Yes, thank you.
We're going to sing. Please stand as you're willing and able. We're going to sing 298, Wake Now My Senses. Verses 1, 3, and 5. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power beating in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now compassion
sun of ministry clear, brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by your care.
Our benediction today is from Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. If you don't understand, ask questions. If you're uncomfortable about asking questions, say you are uncomfortable about asking questions, and then ask anyway. Amen, blessed be, salam alaikum, and shalom.